peace to you from God our Father. Sorry if I get distracted. I know that voice very well. So. Good morning. This morning we hear Jesus' words that are commonly referred to as the Beatitudes in the Gospel of Matthew. You may know it well. This may be the first time you've heard it. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus began his public ministry with this sermon line: Repent. Repent so the kingdom of heaven may be at hand. And he went out and called the disciples, and he began to heal people who were poor in spirit, body, mind, and heart, meeting people where they were. The crowds followed him because they hadn't met someone like him before. And so Jesus went up the mountain, as we just heard in the gospel, with his disciples following him. And in the role of rabbi, a teacher, he began to teach. Chapters 5 through 8 of the Gospel of Matthew are what we call the Sermon on the Mount. At the end of this long time of teaching, Jesus will come down the mountain with his disciples. And just like when he went up, the first thing that he will do will be to heal someone in need, embodying the very gospel lessons that he is trying to teach the disciples and us. How do we embody the kingdom of heaven here and now? Because it is at hand. At the beginning of his Sermon on the Mount, he starts with blessing. Don't you find that fascinating? That God starts in a place of blessing. Yes, Jesus teaches us through these Beatitudes what God's dream is for God's kingdom. But God also comes to people and starts off their ministry, their calling to follow Jesus with a word of blessing. What does blessing mean to you in your own life? When I think of blessing in my life, I've been reflecting lately, particularly with this text from the Beatitudes, upon my dad and his influence on me. The last time that I can remember preaching on this text was at my dad's funeral. It's a text that I chose, one, for the portion, for those who mourn will be comforted, because my mom and my dad's 7 siblings were in deep need of comfort at the loss of their beloved one so early. But also because of the blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. If I had to sum up my dad in one biblical phrase, it would be pure of heart. My dad was like so many of you who attend worship and are part of this faith community, so many people in our community beyond a faith congregation. He was an ordinary person who just cared about other people, someone of few words, but whose actions spoke loudly of the kind of person he was. He was the guy who would go out and shovel and snowplow all of the snow in the driveways for the widows in our neighborhood. Now, I will say, I think part of that was because he won the argument to get the snowplow he really wanted from Sears. My mom was like, okay, I guess 12 driveways means you can have your dream snowplow. But he would just faithfully every morning get up early and go do that. And you'd see my dad in his ridiculous 1980s snowsuit that he wore way into the 2010s. Out there snow plowing for people. He'd go and check on people to make sure they had enough groceries. When I think about blessing, I think of the blessings that I have received, but the blessings sometimes are things I haven't even thought of. He taught me how to be a parent, even though he was far gone with Alzheimer's by the time my children were born. When I lift up my daughter Violet and I throw her up in the air and she smiles and she giggles, and then I pick her up and we turn around and we go, wee, wee, and she says, more, Mama, more. All I can see as we spin around is my dad's face and my own laughing face as a child. That is blessing. embedded within that. Laughter of generations going forward. My dad's Alzheimer's, he was diagnosed when I was 22. So David didn't really get to know him. And while I was blessed to have him growing up, haven't gotten to have an adult relationship with him. But I was lucky in that he was able to be there for my wedding day. He was able to walk me down to the altar just like he had always dreamed of since I was a little girl. And I'd pretend to have a wedding, and I'd make him walk me down the aisle, and I'd throw the flowers out and all of that jazz. At our father-daughter dance, I remember having tears in my eyes because while he was physically there, he wasn't there anymore. He knew who I was, but with his dementia, he was so scared of crowds around him. He was scared to be there. Whereas my father's arms used to be my security, he used to lead me through life. In that dance, I found myself being the one leading us through the steps. My arms being the comfort to guide him in his fear. In that moment, I was the parent providing security and comfort. Even in sorrow, even in hardship, there can be blessings. Often when we think of blessing, we may think of it being associated with prosperity, or vocational or academic success, or wealth, or we're in good health and all is going well in our lives. But what if blessing comes at ordinary times, at ordinary moments, even those that literally break our hearts? What if God says, I am with you and I bless you? This last week, Pastor John, Rob, our Director of Communications, and I had the opportunity to attend a work conference called Telling the Old Story in New Ways. There were two keynote speakers, one Marlon Hall, the other David Hansen, and they talked about ways that we, as followers of Jesus, need to get better about telling our stories towards one another, towards those we love, and towards the people we haven't even met yet. To share parts of those vulnerabilities, those places that we know blessing from ordinary people in ordinary times. One of the keynote speakers, Marlon Hall, really affected me with how he preached and talked around this theme of blessing. Marlon is a pastor in Houston, Texas, and he works primarily with youth in Houston who are African American youth who come from what we in society might call troubled or broken homes. These are kids in our community who have experienced a lot of loss and grief and hardship from a very young age. He shared a video of his process of working with these youth. You see, he created what's called conversation salons, where he gathers 16 people for conversation over dinner every week. And he did that with a group of 16 teenagers in Houston. And he did it over a period of months in which they met with other African American adult males to talk about what their unique experiences as a black man in the United States of America and the situations they experience. And what does it mean to be a man? They had these conversations, and what came up that Marlon shared with us is that so many of the boys had experienced things that kept them from affirming God's love for them and ways that they might see blessing. The one that stood out to me was a 14-year-old boy who, when he first came to Marlon, would just hang his head down in shame and guilt. He shared from the brokenness of his story that he was with his cousin when his cousin was killed, and that he ran for his own safety. That's haunted him. It stayed with him. He felt he should have been there with his cousin. He felt it should have been him himself. Why is he the one who survived? And for his family, he felt extra guilt because his moms and his aunts all gathered around him and said, "Thank God you are alive." For him, it was a heavy burden. Through his conversation with Marlon and these other mentors, he was able to share his story with his peers. By the end of the seminar, Marlon filmed him and he shared this film with me and other participants. This 14-year-old boy who'd come in like this stood up straight. With pride in his face, looked straight at the camera, raised his hands, and said, "I bless you with strength and forgiveness." The words that he needed to hear were the words that he was offering to others. What is the blessing that you need to hear? What are the words that God needs to offer you in this moment? And how much you offer those words to another? Where do you find and identify God's blessing? I can tell you today, I am looking forward to this afternoon of 40 degrees. I'm hopeful I can take my little blessing over here and go out in the sunshine and just have ordinary moments to find out what the blessing is that comes through conversation or a brief moment of connection. I leave you with Jesus' blessing for you. Blessed are you who are poor in spirit, for yours is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you who mourn, for you will be comforted. Blessed are you who are meek, for you will inherit the earth. Blessed are you who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for you will be filled. Blessed are you who are merciful, for you will receive mercy. Blessed are you who are pure in heart, for you will see God. Blessed are you who are peacemakers, for you are called children of God. Blessed are you who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for yours is the kingdom of heaven, and it is at hand, and it is here right now. Thanks be to God. Amen.